like to call the Thursday, October 27th, Lancaster County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. And at this particular time, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We just recently had a former employee of ours to pass away on October 21st, 2022. He served as our supervisors for our waste management and recycling and retired from the county here in 2013. This is, I'm talking about Cecil Barnett Whaley Jr., better known as Sonny. So at this particular time, let's have a moment of silence for him. Thank you. At this time, we're going to have public input session. As most of you know, we have 3 minutes. You can speak for 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, I will hold this up and let you know that you have 1 minute left. So at the end of that time, that's it. Okay, floor is now open for public comment. Anyone for public comment? Anyone online? Okay, good, all right. Public input session is closed. VDOT.
How y'all doing this evening?
Aye.
I think David sent y'all a report. You have anything else for me?
Gentlemen, y'all have anything for him? Okay, well, you're making this short, okay.
That's good. I did see they've started on the primary mowing and the secondary should be complete, so
Okay,
give you an update on that. And we're working on, every year we get all the snow equipment together and clean it up and fix everything's wrong with it and get it ready. And we've been doing that this week, so hopefully everything be ready. Hopefully we won't get any snow, but if we do, we'll be prepared, so.
all right, good. Let me ask you this question. I noticed on Route 3, they haven't finished the striping. What's the holdup?
So right here at the courthouse, they kind of messed up and have it off center. So my understanding, they're going to come back and mill that center section out because they had already put the plowable markers in. And I guess they're waiting to get that done before they do the permanent marking all the way
Okay.
through.
All right.
So as far as I know, that's what the plan is.
All right,
And I haven't seen anything on schedule for that.
all right, okay, thanks.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you. All right. Presentations. Broadband Authority. Broadband Authority here?
I believe Kevin Bean was supposed to be here tonight, but his daughter was being recognized for an achievement, so he's not here.
I don't
They
believe it.
did
Okay.
send a report around later this week, and I emailed it to you all. If you've got any questions, I can try to answer them. If not, you can talk to them next month.
Okay, I've read the report, okay. All right, School Board. School Board.
Hey, Glenn, give me PC2.
So I'll keep in line with all the other presentations tonight and be real brief. Just got a few quick slides. We have had a lot of work take place over at the school over the past month. As soon as we get this popped up, I'll get into it.
There we go.
I think the next slide down's got the site plan. So just for a reference, School Street's on the top of the page. You can see the new loop road. This is just a plan for it on the left-hand side of the page, and the courtyard kind of in the center of the building there. This is just to give you a kind of reference for where we will land here within the next few months. And the next slide has got a drone picture. Matt actually helped us last week get some updated drone pictures, and it's kind of neat to see how we're progressing. It's a real good real good shot to let you know where we are. You can see the building on the right-hand side. The roof is on, that new addition to the building. And things are moving really well, so.
Before you leave that shot, where's the playground equipment going?
So you can see all the new concrete there, Mr. Palin,
Yes,
sort of in the center of that picture.
okay.
There's a sidewalk that runs straight into the early childhood off of that, what I call the front end of that concrete area, straight into the center of the building. Everything to the left-hand side of that sidewalk will be playground.
Okay.
So it's a big playground area. The building itself is about 10,000 square foot for early childhood. The playground is going to be about 7,000 square feet.
Right.
So it's a very good sized playground. Next slide. Back to this, it's kind of the same picture, just flipped around the other way. Just want to give you some, quick idea about where we are in the process. Again, Area 1's the new construction part of the building. Come January, we'll have students in areas 3 and 4 on that side of the building, and we'll concentrate on areas 6 and 5 and 7 over the summer. Next slide. That new construction, you can see the steel's been erected. This is a picture taken from the roof on the other side of the courtyard. The next picture shows basically the inside of the building. They have poured the concrete since this picture was taken last week, so all the concrete's poured. I'm expecting the building to be roughed in, hopefully by Thanksgiving, closed in, dried in where they can do a lot of work. So you should see, as you ride by School Street, you should see a lot of progress on this part of the building.
Next.
Yeah, next slide. This is just one of the DOAS units. So we had a little hang up on the first area of the school that we were working on, waiting on this equipment to show up. Supply chain issues. It took a while for this equipment to come, so this showed up last week. The 2 areas of the school that will have students in January will have new HVAC equipment and the new DOAS units in place. This is really great technology, brings a lot of fresh air into the classroom, and we're looking forward to having those units up and running for the students and teachers. Okay, yes, I think it was my last slide. This is just to give you guys an idea about, there's been a lot of talk about terrazzo floors over the past few months. We're hoping to include some sort of hard surface flooring in the building for the new school. They're resurfacing these floors. When they get done with this process, it's basically like a brand new floor. It's sort of, it's proved to me how important it is to spend that money up front. 30 years down the road, you can refinish it, and it's almost like you got a brand new floor in the building.
This old terrazzo, is that in the original part of the old middle school, or is this the renovated?
No, so this is the area, what I call areas 3 and 4. I think what we're looking at here, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's an old 8th grade wing of the building. Is that right, Jessica? And
So that's the original stuff then?
yeah, well, it's 30 years old. It's not to the original part of the, because there are parts of the school that were part of the middle school before it was renovated.
Yeah.
This isn't part of that flooring, but it has been there since the 90s. And basically, they just grind that surface down. It's, it's not much, maybe even a 1/16 of an inch, but you end up with a brand new floor. And just to show you that process about what's going on, and they're in the middle of doing that on another section of the building. That'll probably wind up some of the next few weeks. And at that point, if you guys, if anybody wanted to take a quick tour through the building to see, I wouldn't recommend it right now because it's awful slick walking through the building when they're doing that process. I think that's the last slide
Yep.
I had in that. All right, any questions?
Any questions, gentlemen? No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is public hearing. Application of special exception. Deborah Castleberry. Mr. Farrell.
Yes, sir. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
All right, what we have before us tonight is an application for a special exception by the applicant Deborah Castleberry, who's here tonight, present. This is to enlarge or expand a prior nonconforming use as required by the 12-4-1 of the Lancaster County zoning ordinance. This is on a single-family residence in an R1 zone parcel with approximately 5.59 acres in District 1. What they're trying to do is, what's existing is just over a 12-foot setback, which is non-conforming with today's zoning. They're not going to break out any footprint, but they are going to do a 16 by 60-foot addition, still single-story. So that would need a special exception and board approval.
Before I open it up for public hearing, anybody have a question from the board here? Mr.
And
Farrell?
if I may note, sir, no opposition from adjacent property owners.
Okay, all right. Floor is now open up for public comments on this. Remember, you have 3 minutes. No comments online? All right. Public comment section is closed. Motion? Mr. Geasley, want to make a motion?
I will move that we accept this special exception application.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous approval. Okay, good. All right, second,
All right, thank
application
you.
special exception, I can't pronounce the name.
Capicelli.
Capicelli. All right.
Capicelli.
All right.
All right, sir, this is public hearing number 2. Same situation, it's application for special exception for Mr. Capicelli, who has a prior non-conforming structure, which is 12-4-1 in the Lancaster County zoning ordinance. It's an R1 property with approximately 0.93 acres in District 3. He's actually requesting to do a similar project. He's not breaking out of any footprint. It's just that the residence already encroaches on a setback, and he's just going to stay in that footprint with an addition.
Okay.
To date, we have not had neighbor opposition.
All right. Gentlemen, any questions of Mr. Farrell before I open it up for public hearing for comment? All right. Floor is now open for comments. Anyone want to comment? Anybody online? Floor is now closed.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the special exception request.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous vote. Okay, good. All right. Public hearing number 3, application for special exception to construct a 2-megawatt utility scale solar facility. Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, this proposed project would establish a 10.7-acre solar array on a 76.1-acre parcel located at 18228 Maryball Road between Kilmarnock and Whitestone. This proposed project is located within the county's primary growth area. It would tie into a local distribution line in front of the property, and it proposes to place the solar array on top of existing farmland. As proposed, this project would not require any timbering or clearing of timber. The Planning Commission held its required 2232 review at its September 15th meeting with a public hearing. The result of that was the Planning Commission determined that this request was in substantial conformance with the comprehensive plan. This proposed solar project is the first one that the Board of Supervisors will consider since Chapter 6 of the comprehensive plan was revised, and also since Article 28, our solar ordinance, was amended on June 30th of this year. The project as proposed will not meet 2 of the setbacks of the amended ordinance. The side yard setback to the north, next to the Souter property, is proposed at 50 feet. The amended ordinance has a setback of 250 feet. So it will not meet that new setback. And also the front yard setback from Route 3, the amended ordinance has a setback of 1,075 feet from 4-lane highways, and this project is proposed at 250 feet. The amended ordinance does give the Board of Supervisors the ability to increase or decrease any of the setbacks located in that ordinance as a condition of approval of the special exception. So if the board is inclined to go with a setback that is less or more than is listed in the ordinance, you can do so as a condition of approval of the special exception. Article 13-3 of the zoning ordinance allows the board to place whatever conditions it deems necessary on a project to carry out the intent of the ordinance. You have the packet in your, posted online. The applicants are here tonight to answer any questions that you may have. I know our county attorney is online as well, and advertising and adjoining property owner notification has been done as required by law.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Gill before opening the floor up? All right. Okay. Floor is now open for comments on this ordinance or proposal. Yes, sir.
Good
Remember,
evening, my name is-
sorry, you have 3 minutes, and I'll hold this up at the end of 2.
Well, he's representing the applicant.
Oh, he is, okay, good, all right.
Trust me, I'm fine with just 3 minutes. I'll run away after that. I'm fine
All
with
right,
that.
sir.
That sounds good, Don. All right, so my name is Jesse Diamond. I represent Impact Power Solutions. We also go by New Equity Energy. And I'm here to answer your questions. As Don stated, this is a 10.7 acre enclosed facility. We are following the tree line and shrub requirements, which are 7 rows, and that's really where you're going to get your view shed. You're going to get your bang for your buck out of that. The difference between 250 feet and 1,000 feet setback, in my opinion, isn't going to make a big difference as far as view shed. What I would propose to do is, trees do take a couple of years to grow up. So if we are to be approved, I'd like to get out there yet this year and get a couple of rows planted right away. That'll allow probably a solid year to grow before we get the civil design done, we get the Tier 1 study done, and a few other aspects, the building permit. So I would propose that we look at the physical barrier to add the most value as far as that view shed from Mary Ball Road. I do have a really interesting figure for you that I think is really important. This facility will save the community $1.6 million in the first 25 years. And so that's a direct savings to the community. That's subscribers that are usually getting about 10% savings on their electricity bill. And so that savings is going to residents and businesses. 30% of that is required to be low income. And so people that might need it more than others, at least 30% will be going to them. Other than that, I'm here to answer some questions.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay, none at this time.
Okay,
All right,
thank
thanks.
you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Thank you all. This is a strange application in that we applied for this in February. We have, emails where it was sent in. It was not reacted on. There were lots of phone calls and lots of emails. And then in April, it was said to be lost, so it was sent in again, along with, I believe, a $5,000 check for the application fee. And then again, no action until now. I don't want to throw stones about it, but, we applied in good faith, spent a lot of money on engineering and studies and everything, and applied in a timely fashion under the ordinance that was in effect at that time, which is what this complies with. Then at the end of June, you all changed the setback to 1,000 feet, and now we're having a hearing on our application. I think that this does not set a precedence. I think that there's probably only one other application that came in during that time period. So it doesn't set a precedence for anybody from here on out under the new ordinance. I think we are due some consideration because of the fact that we did move forward in good faith under the then applicable ordinance changes without any knowledge of what was coming down the pike at the time. 1,000 feet is almost to the tree line, not quite, but almost to the tree line on my farm, which is, it's a lot of wasted land. What we're proposing is planting 2 rows of trees right along the edge of Route 3, like those old Leyland cypresses I have that died. But we plant Thuja plicata and probably eastern Virginia red cedar, which are hardy plants and won't die like Leyland cypresses do, but will grow and be thick and bushy. We plant them, as soon as we can get the permit, if we get the permit. And then we would plant the remainder of the buffers as required by the application in due time when the fence is put up. This property's been in my family for over 100 years. I have a vested interest in the property. I don't want something that's going to mess the property up. This is going to be handed down to my children. I know it's taken farmland out of production, but it's very marginal farmland. It's 1 crop a year, not very good. Greg can tell you that. I sent in the soil studies on that. And it's only 10 acres of it anyhow. I want this project done right. That's one reason that I liked IPS, is that they were willing to do things like talk about moving trees out by the road and moving things around as best they could within reason to work with me. We've got a berm set up along with that Ducks Unlimited duck wetlands that I put in there that will protect that. We've got lots of buffers so that when you have the trees planted, you won't see them coming from Whitestone, you won't see it coming from Kilmarnock. We've timed it. It's about 13 to 15 seconds to pass the farm at 55 miles an hour. I didn't hear it said, but I'd ask Don, was there any adjoining landowner opposition to this?
I've received none.
Thank you. I know this presents a sticky situation for all of us, but I would ask that you all please consider this in the full faith and fairness that it was presented in. I mean, it's not going to be seen much by people driving down the road because the road and the elevation of the property diverge as you go towards Kilmarnock. It's Mr. Lee lives just up the road from it. Jason drives by it every day, I'm sure. But, with the plantings in place, as the road diverges, I mean, we're talking about planting 4-foot trees to start with along the road, you really won't see much of it. And in a year or two, they'll have bushed out enough that you won't notice it when you go past. The 250-foot setback puts it in line with the other improvements on the property there. So everything was sort of in a line across there. And, this is something that I'm doing if I have something to leave as a legacy to my family that's here tonight. I'm 60 years old. I'll be gone before this is done. But hopefully my daughter will have some income from this in the future. I know you all are worried about the highway overlay corridor. I understand that. But at the same time, some reason has to enter into it too. 1,000 feet, there aren't many places that you'll get 1,000 feet off of Route 3. There are a few fields, but not many. If you try to push it all back on the secondary road, you're going to run into the problem of the transmission lines not being adequate. When I was practicing law, I negotiated, I think, 5 of these leases, and all of them fell through because they were too far off the main transmission line. It was cost prohibitive to upgrade the lines. So, we've got decent lines right in front of the farm. We've got a substation right over by RWC, as you all are well aware from the other applications. And I would ask that you all please consider this in light of the fact and the facts that it was applied for under. And thank you for your time. Do you all have any questions for me? Or we've got a number of people here who would like to speak, I think. I don't think we had any sign up, did we?
No.
No.
Hey, Riley. How many total acres are in your farmland field there?
I was just figuring that out today because I've got to file my land use. Again, I think there's 17 point something on that side of the road, and I think the far side of the road is 6 and some odd acres that are in cultivation. I haven't gotten the exact figures from Jock. I was using that soil studies thing and drawing lines around it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. The next that are speaking, unless you're the applicant, I'm going to limit you to 3 minutes. And as I said before, I will hold up the sign at the end of 2, so you have a minute left. Anyone else that want to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Will Hubbard from District 3. Just here to voice my support for Mr. Simmons' application. You know, we have quite a bit of experience with solar, as you all well know, and we feel like this is an appropriate application for this board's consideration and approval. As already indicated, Mr. Simmons and his family have long-standing ties to the community. They've had this property in their family for 100 years, I think he said. The application, as I understand it, is a responsibly made one, a 250-foot setback, being in line with other structures there, more than adequate coverage and buffering to shield the project from onlookers from the road. And as he said, and I think it's an important point, it was made in good faith when the prior ordinance was in existence, and for whatever reason, you know, delays happened. We are where we are this evening. But I think that requires some consideration as well. So I wholeheartedly support his application and hope the board will give it consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Robert Cunningham from District 3 from Whitestone. Mr. Simmons is a lifelong resident of Lancaster County. We've known him, we've seen him up here many times fighting for what is right for this county, and always have appreciated his outlook. This particular situation, I think it's very important that we realize that when he initially applied, there was a setback that is different than the current one. And in fairness, I think that it should be given an exception. To get more to the actual aspect of the trees, many years ago, I planted these thuja plicatas on my land. They're a very bushy tree, and they grow very well. Well, at the same time, while I was experimenting with them, I joined Raleigh, and we planted 50 trees on his property. And they are about 20 feet tall now, and they have survived where the local trees have not. They're very strong, thick, bushy tree, very much like a cypress, and very thick. And these would clearly shield any view from the road at their maturity. So I have personal knowledge of that, and I've seen his grow, and they're on the side of his property right now, not in the front, but on the side in the back. I think he initially put them as a buffer for the adjoining landowners, and they are intact and very sturdy. So I would recommend that an exception be given in this situation, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
I do have photos of those trees, if anybody would like to take a look.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, next.
Good evening, gentlemen. Jackie Barrick, District 2. I'm here to speak in favor of Mr. Simmons' project. Mr. Simmons' family has been here for many, many years. The property on Route 3 being well screened to hide the solar panels, I wouldn't see any problem with that. I know it gives you all some heartburn because it's in the Highway Overlay District, but I can tell you, a whole lot worse things can go there than a solar farm. And he could subdivide into lots later. He could do a lot of different things with the property. But the solar farm goes out, it's hidden by trees, it's marginal farmland, and I really hope you all will give it consideration to approve the project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
evening, gentlemen.
Good
My
evening.
name is Mark Monroe from Irvington. I'm not an expert in the area. I do strongly believe in the importance of this area developing energy diversity of its energy resources. And, but most importantly, I grew up in the area. I've lived most of my life in the area. I'm going to live and die in the area, and my kids are going to be here as well. Nobody except maybe one person cares more about the beauty, the character, the attractiveness of this area, other than probably one person. He happens to be in this room, and it's Raleigh Simmons. His family has been here, as it mentioned multiple times, 100 years. I'd probably object to it if there wasn't just a great plan to block the view from Route 3. I know the land very well. A 1,000-foot setback really wouldn't make much of a difference. It's more about the plan to block the view and see these trees grow. Would easily do that and keep the area just as beautiful as it is today. So I'm strongly in support of the plan, and I thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Oh, you got it.
It's arthritis. My name's Catherine Chase. I am not an adjoining property owner, but I can see him. I can see him from property I own, and I'm in favor of it. And if any of you know anybody under 35 years old, they all want this. They want this solar power, and we are in a good position where we can certainly furnish some. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chase.
Charlie Costello, District 2. Spoke to the Plan Commission when they were doing this. I said at that time that we've had a lot of solar already in this area. Somebody mentioned about the transmission lines. It's not the transmission lines they're going to, it's the distribution lines. The board back in spring turned down another solar project along Route 3, the Mary Ball Solar, which was supposed to be up by VDOT. And it's probably because of the same basic reasons that you have here tonight. If you denied that one, that was a precedent. And this one should be the same. Solar is a good thing. It's where it is. The Harvards have solars. They've got, in fact, 2 solars going. Jackie Barrick is part of the Waller Solar Project, and his property is a large part of that project. That is 100 megawatts going in there. We've had the Harris Road project. We've had the Old Salem Road project approved. How many more are we going to put in here? We hear that $1.6 million we saved by people over in the community. But the electricity goes all over. It goes to, and you can have people back in Northumberland having part of this community subscription. You can have them in Middlesex. Who knows where it could be applied. It doesn't matter where it is. It matters only the energy that's there. It's sort of a reciprocal type of thing. So you have to be aware, I think, of all of these things that go on. We need solar. I think responsible solar is very good. I've got a thing I'll send you tomorrow about what they're doing down in Australia about solar. I'm not from here, okay? I was born in New Hampshire. But I've been here 31 years, and I love this place every bit as anybody who was ever born here. Thank you very much for yours.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Hollingsworth. I'm almost a lifelong resident of Lancaster County and longtime friend of the Simmons family, and I'm here to speak in favor of the solar farm. I think it's a good thing for the community, and I'd like to see it happen.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anybody online? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. All right, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address one thing that was stated by Mr. Simmons when he was talking. I know because I'm the farmer on the board, I get attributed to a lot of the land makeup and those things. But I did take a few minutes today to analyze the soil map that was sent in, and that covered 14 acres of land, and I know the project is like 10.7, so the footprint I had was a little bit bigger. But the comment was made a couple of times that it's marginal farmland. Well, I will say that there are numbers put out based on soil productivity by soil types that are put out by, I use the ones for the soil and water conservation districts, and pulled the numbers for these. And when I did that, of the 14 acres, 10.3 were in the 150 acre per acre yield, bushels per acre, I'm sorry, yield for corn. So I would say that field is above average on the production, the bulk of that land. So I just wanted to make that clear because it was made a couple times. And I don't try to make that judgment myself because it's very hard and it can be very arbitrary. But I do use it, and I'm happy to share those numbers and where I got that from with anybody who has a question. So I just wanted to clear that up.
All right. Okay. Any other comments from the board? All right.
Comments?
Yes.
If you all don't have anything else?
And we don't have any from the, yeah, I checked that. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you know, I appreciate the fact that Mr. Simmons has stressed that he made this application before, you know, we changed the ordinance. But the ordinance that we have in front of us is the ordinance. And you guys know how I feel about that, things that's written and policies in place, because before we changed it, I was vocal about not adhering to that. And I'm the same way tonight about the new one that we got. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that this application be approved with the following conditions. You already hit the conditions?
Yes.
The subject project, this is the first one. The project will and shall be developed according to the concept plan that's included in the application, Simmons Farm 2 application. This next two deals with the setback. The northern side, that's the side that's really we have the hedgerow in now. Setback shall be a minimum of 50 feet. The front yard setback, the side that's facing Route 3, which is also known as Maryball Road, shall be a minimum of 1,000 feet. Pursuit of Code Virginia 15.2-228.8, after commercial operation of the facility, payment of $1,400 per megawatt of alternating current generated capacity shall be made to the county on July the 1st of each year to support construction of public improvement. for the need for which is not generated solely by the facility, but reasonably related to this. This payment shall be increased on July the 1st, 2026, and every 5 years after by 10%. The next condition, as part of the final site plan review, the application shall provide documentation that the selected panels are Tier 1 modules as established by most recent PV module Tier 1 list issued by Bloomberg NEF, RA, similar third-party analysis. Disposal of the project components. All components of the project which are removed from service due to damage during operation of the project will be collected and stored on site in dry waste containers and either recycled or disposed of off-site in accordance with the applicable manufacturer and EPA regulations. The last one, the project shall be built and operated in conformity with all provisions of Article 28 of Lancaster County Land Development Code, except as modified herein. That's my motion.
Yes, your motion. Okay, you all have heard the motion's been read. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, okay, ayes have it. Okay, motion approved. Okay. Consensus docket.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the consensus docket.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous vote on consensus dockets. Consideration docket, salaries and invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the invoices for the month of October in the amount of $1,341,676.36. Total payroll, $372,154.85 for a total of $1,713,831.21, of which capital improvements were $675,498.35, and ARPA funds of $2,511.74.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved unanimously. All right, where are we here? Opera report, right? Yeah,
Number
Matt.
2. Yeah.
Number 2, Matt. Mr. Smith, Chief Smith.
All right, come before you tonight for a request from the Upper Lancaster Volunteer Rescue Squad. This request is for funding from the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $35,000 to cover a total of 4 projects. The biggest of these projects is going to be the replacement of the generator. On the last couple weeks, the generator has failed and has been stated by 2 electricians that it's going to be very costly to attempt to fix, if that even corrects the problem. So ultimately, they all suggested replacement. The current generator is over 10 years old, so it's about due already. So that is the first project. The next project.
Could I ask a question about that?
Yes.
Speaking of solar, was there any consideration of using solar for this backup?
Not for this. Since it's an emergency facility, just a replacement of the generator is going to be the quickest option. Right now, the concern is getting the generator, and then particularly with winter coming up, the generator is the backup for the bay doors and also the main primary facility area. So if we do have any extended power outages, I'm going to have to get an emergency generator up there so that they can get apparatus in and out. But to my knowledge, solar wasn't considered at this time.
Another question, it seems like this building may be in marginal condition in general.
It's in need of a lot of repairs. They've done a little bit of work over the past recent year and trying to get this done to kind of boost it up.
Is there any capital and planning for a replacement of that building?
Not that I'm aware of. That will be on them.
Yeah.
Do you know if we did a tour of that building, what, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
I was wondering if any renovations, anything was done since that time, because there was some need there going on then.
Yeah.
So has nothing been done?
Since then, they've added 2 bunk rooms. They've actually took out went into the bay a little bit to add the bunk rooms. They fixed the mold situation in the meeting room, and they also made improvements to the bathroom shower area. They've expanded that to make it bigger and fix the issues in the bathroom. So the next biggest project is for this request is the commercial gutters. They had a French drain put in. The building is still flooding during heavy rainstorms. The contractor said the addition of commercial gutters will help mitigate some of that water flow, and along with the downspouts are part of that too, and have everything tie into the French drain and try to move water away from the property. The apparatus bay light project, currently it is fluorescent bulbs. Most of those are out. The recommendation was to just replace all those fixtures with LED fixtures in the bay, and then the addition of the ventilation fans. In the summertime, there's really no air movement in there. The only thing that we can do is kind of keep the bay doors open during the summer to let some air movement and out, and then different kind of fans. So one of the things to try to kind of offset that and help move some of the diesel fumes and stuff out of there is the addition of a ventilation fan in the apparatus bay. They've gotten quotes for all of the projects and have selected the proposals that I've included with my packet. Mostly Paul Ryan, who everybody's probably familiar with, and then Allison Awning and Gutters as part of the Allison's Ace Hardware team. So those were the selected vendors for this project.
Okay.
Is this the total cost of the project?
It should be on page 2 of my memo.
Yeah.
It's got each one broken down.
But that's the total cost of the project?
Yes.
Yeah, that's on page 2 of 2, yeah. 34,306, yeah.
Don, do we have an accounting of our ARPA funds?
Yeah, I was going to save that for county administrator report, but I can give you that now. We just recently received the second payment from ARPA last Friday, another $1,029,754. So adding both years together, we've currently spent $596,448.70. So combining both, we have remaining funds of $1,463,059.30.
And we have until what date? What is the deadline?
That is spread out until the end of '23 or '4. So we've got time, more time with the ARPA funds than we have with the CARES Act funds, and less stringent requirements with the ARPA versus CARES.
Okay.
And this would qualify under public safety, obviously, for ARPA funds.
All right. Any additional questions?
I certainly see a need, just remembering how the building was when I was up there. I'm glad that they did some work in it, but flooding was a problem then, at that time. They had talked to us.
Yeah, it still was this summer.
Yeah, so that hasn't improved in it.
It switched places. It used to be from the apparatus bay, and now it kind of seeps in the walls in the main building section.
Are we putting money in a building that we shouldn't be putting money into? I'm going to support, we have to have our rescue departments, but I don't know the building as well as you guys. It sounds like we need a new building. I hear mold, and I hear water gushing in, and I hear all kinds of issues.
Well, it's not a county building.
It's not a county
Yeah.
building, I know, but it is our responsibility. I mean, we're here to help everyone, but I always have trouble putting money into a building that does not have doesn't have longevity. And I don't know anything about this building. Is it a strong building?
It's a concrete block building.
Okay.
So I can't remember the year it was put in. Jack, do you know?
Was it early 80s? Was it early 80s or late 70s?
What was the year the spa building was put in? What was the year the building was put in?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I want to say it was either early 80s or late
Mr. Smith, it's
70s.
an old building.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned capital planning and whether they had thought about that or,
All right. Will?
I mean, regardless of that, they have to have
They-
these
they
repairs
need
to
it, yeah.
now.
Yeah.
but
I mean, we have to.
I
We
still
have-
think that there needs to be vision to think forward, not only from our staff that needs space, but the future for the best outcome for EMS in that facility.
Well, especially I mean, I live right across the road from that building, and we lose electricity quite often up in that area. So the generator for our squad crews and those things we gotta have that even if we move that to a new building later or something. I mean, that's gotta happen. So I would think, anyway, in my opinion.
Well, no, I'm not saying that I'm not in favor of it. I'm gonna vote for this, but if there's any way we can help as a board to have a vision for something different in the future, I'd be glad to be part of that.
Mr. Gies,
Well, I am
this-
part of that.
this is your district.
I'm the director, right?
That's right.
I know as a county, since we don't actually own the building, the only thing we can really do is kind of support them.
I know.
Mhm.
No, I appreciate all they do. It's,
All right. I hear a motion.
we need 'em.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we accept this request to make use of the ARPA funding.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous vote. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Board reports. Any board reports? All right, county administrator report.
I got quite a few items tonight, Mr. Chairman,
All right.
so bear with me.
You have 3 minutes.
Virginia Tech's playing football tonight, and I want to go home and see that, but I do have several items I need to bring you up to date on. Dr. Richard Wineland is in the audience, and I think you all have seen at least an email from him. I know Mr. Smith has, District 5 Supervisor. He's lived on Taylor's Creek for many, many years, since 1973, and he showed me a map before the meeting of folks along the creek, on both sides of the creek, that have supported this request for a no-wake zone along Taylor's Creek. And what makes this request a little bit different than previous requests you have heard is the fact that now the county has a park on Taylor's Creek. And we're, preparing to develop that park. It's not for powerboat use, but it will be canoe and kayaks. And so maybe a no-wake zone is not a bad idea so that kayakers aren't, paddling through big waves. So this process, obviously, Mr. Weiland's got to give me the state application, and we have to work through those issues. But what I'd like to have is the board to say that you're in favor of at least holding a public hearing on this, so that we can, listen to the public's concerns and maybe give some thought to the fact that this one does have a county park downstream from it. So I guess what I'm asking for the board to do is just give me a consensus that you are okay with holding a public hearing
Since it's
on
in
this
Mr.
map.
Smith's district, let me hear from you first.
Yeah, no, I do. I support the public hearing to hear this.
All right, Mr. Gies.
I would be in support. I'd like to have more information, but I'd be in support to hear it.
And the same for me. All right, Mr. Bellows?
I've spoken with Ismail, I'm in general support.
Yeah, Mr. Lee?
I just got one question, and I certainly like to hear the public part of this, but if we say, now we got a park on it, and we gonna, go down this road, there is a cost
Yeah.
to maintaining that.
There is, and in prior applications, that cost of installation and maintenance, the whole responsibility of installation and maintenance has been on the applicant who applied for the no-wake zone authorization. So, again, Mr. Wineland is going to, Dr. Wineland is going to submit that application, and I'm not sure if we can meet the time deadlines with the November meeting being moved up to have that public hearing November 17th or December 15th at that meeting, but we'll get that ironed out. But, I just pointed out that this one is a little bit different because the county does have a park on this creek.
There's gonna be some kayaks out there, yeah.
I think what you're saying, they're gonna be the applicant. We are not the applicant.
We're not the applicant. We could be the applicant if that's what you wanted, but I think, Mr. Weiland's already researched this. He knows all of the folks along the creek on both sides who are supporting this. Let's hold a public hearing, and then, you know, if the board wants to determine who's responsible for this in the future, maintenance and installation, then
Yeah.
you all can make that determination then.
Okay. I think we ought to, you know, we get a little shaky when we do consensus. We ought to do a vote on this.
You want to vote?
So I'll make a motion that we move forward with a public hearing on this no-wake sign.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous vote. You still thinking about pass?
Yeah.
I appreciate,
You don't want repeat things.
I appreciate that. That's an inside joke. Couple other things. The Economic Development Authority, at their meeting on October 20th, approved the resolution for the lease revenue bond issuance for the $5 million worth of non-school-related capital improvement budget items with Truist Bank that you all approved at your September 29th meeting, I believe. The closing for that Truist note is next Tuesday, November the 1st. Also, on that same date, we're going to do a pre-closing for the Virginia Public School Authority general obligation bonds that will finance the construction of the new middle high school complex. So that's going to happen next Tuesday in my office in the afternoon. The bond sale for the Virginia Public School Authority was carried out on October 18th, and it actually resulted in better rates than what Davenport depicted at your September meeting. So much so that the total debt service under scenario C, if you all can remember, you know, they had many different scenarios for the new school finance, and then you all settled on scenario C. The total debt service under scenario C with the new bond numbers show an overall savings of over $2 million with that bond sale. So we did pretty well there. Last month, the board approved awarding contracts for engineering services and architectural services to Bay Design Group and Guernsey Tingle, respectively. Jim Cornwell, over the last month, Jim Cornwell has reviewed the contracts and revised them, and I can tell you that both of those contracts have been fully executed. We're now under contract with engineers and architects, and they are working on plans for the Carter Cove site, the Taylor Creek Park site, the Windmill Point beach restoration, expansion of the public beach and fishing pier project, as well as the expansion of the Kilmarnock Convenience Center site. So hopefully I may have some proposals to bring to you at your November meeting, but all of those contract issues have been taken place and fully executed. Also, during the last month, we went out to RFP, request for proposal, for the third time for the Thomas Landing Pier replacement and expansion. And you don't know how pleased I am to tell you that this closed on Tuesday, and we did get one response this time. So, Bruce Julian, the chairman of the Public Access Committee, and I are going to review that submittal for completeness, and hopefully we'll bring that to you at your November meeting with a recommendation for approval. So along those lines of public access, we also, over the last month, were notified that the county has been awarded a $150,000 grant from the Virginia Outdoors Foundation to assist with the development of the Carter Cove site in Weems. Also, during the last month, we met on site, it might have been within the last 2 months, Chief Smith was with us. We met on site with FEMA officials in various places in the county. One of the places was at Windmill Point, and we were showing them the erosion that's happened over the last 10 years, and they suggested that we apply for the FEMA BRIC grant. BRIC stands for Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities. And I can tell you that our new Erosion and Sediment Control Officer, Olivia Hall, who has some prior grant writing experience from her prior job, she spent quite a bit of time in putting that grant together, that grant application. That has been submitted. It's a $2.2 million grant application The county has a 25% local match if we are successful, but that 25%, $550,000 is much better than 2.2 million. So I'm not sure when we'll find out about that, but that application has been submitted, and that's for the Windmill Point project, the beach restoration, expansion of the public beach, and a fishing pier project. So that's been.
On that application, would we have to fund that 25% in total cash, or could we do in-kind donation?
I don't know the total answer to that. I believe there are some in-kind matches, but I don't believe all of your local match can be in-kind. I think some of it has to be cash. So, couple other things. Over the last month, the board directed the Planning Commission to work on short-term rentals. I'm sure you've seen the articles in the Rappahannock Record. The Planning Commission is working on that. I know the board had a desire to see something sooner than later, but I really think, given the fact that they're going to have another discussion at their November meeting, and they don't meet in December, so they probably won't be able to go to public hearing until January. So the earliest that you all will see a short-term rental ordinance is probably January or February of 2023. They have scheduled a public hearing for the revision of Chapter 7, which is the last chapter of the comp plan to review. That review started in 2018, and it's been going on for a long time. So hopefully you all will get that at your December 15th meeting.
We'll have to start again.
Yeah. So, and I know last month we talked about the Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, and I said I would get some information to you. I just haven't had time during the last month to put that together, but I will get that to you either at your November meeting or December meeting. Jerry Davis has told me that they're not planning to hold the first meeting of that authority until after the first of the year, so we got time to get that before you and for you all to decide if you want to become a member of that regional body. The last item I have is that the Virginia Association of Counties annual conference is held every year in November, and this year it is in Richmond at the Marriott downtown. And our county attorney, who's online, always asks me to make sure to read a public statement to keep you all safe. And so I'm going to say that all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors may be attending the Virginia Association of Counties annual conference being held at the Marriott Hotel downtown in Richmond, Virginia, November 13th through the 15th for educational purposes. During the course of this educational conference, public business matters may be discussed, but no actions or votes will be taken.